Good day, Nigerians. The Eid holiday has finally ended for all federal workers in Nigeria, but for some states like Sokoto, Gombe and Katsina, the holiday continues till today, and I'm sure they're enjoying their time, and that's how we welcome you to this program this morning. My name is Adewale Olashokwo, and you're watching Headline Reviews on Africanet TV. Of course, I am not doing this alone. I'm here with someone who is always ready to give you all the things you need to understand as we go through the select headlines on our national dailies. Good morning, Chinatu.
Good morning, Wale. It's always good to be here.
It's always good to be here, and I'm sure people in Gombe, Katsina and Sokoto State are enjoying the extra extended holiday for them.
Yeah, they'll be overly joyed. I mean, what can we see? An extra extension, another day.
Exactly.
More days, actually.
Like from Tuesday, exactly.
I feel like moving to Gombe right now.
But some people will also say that for federal workers, civil servants in Nigeria, Fridays is always almost half day, because once it's 12 o'clock and people go to the mosque, and those are the Christians as well. So, okay, people have gone to the mosque, now it's time to relax. Friday is never the day to go to do anything important, federal agencies in Nigeria. But of course, we're still in the mode of celebration and in the mode of festivity. And we can't just but be happy.
Exactly. That's why we're here. At least to make other people happy. Since we can't have all of the holidays to ourselves, so we are here.
Exactly. Holidays are never for media people. No. But we have to go through select headlines this morning. Chinatu, can we start with you?
All right. So we'll just go right to the Punch, where the Abia State government, or rather the Abia State Police Command, in collaboration with local government area authorities, has inspected volatile spots in the state to enhance security across the state. The command, through its divisional police officers, inspected volatile spots within their areas of operations as part of the comprehensive crime prevention strategy. The State Commissioner of Police, Kenechukwu Onwele, accompanied by the Mayor of Umuahia North Local Government, Victor Ikeji, personally undertook crucial assessment of some areas, and the mayor said that the shanties serving as criminal hideouts would be demolished, while the government would build a motor park and markets on the land. When I see improvements like this, Wale, it just makes me think that yes, we are getting it right, because a place where is known for criminal hideouts makes the environment unsafe. We don't want people existing in a place where they cannot move about or go about their businesses as freely as possible. And we are having the government, the police in Abia coming out to say that some of those hideouts will now be demolished and turned into a motor park, some will be turned into market, making the citizens more safe, feeling more relaxed. And in turn, I mean, when you have more markets, when you have more another motor park, you're also reviving the social life, you're also reviving the economy, because I mean, from the taxes, from the trades that will be going on there, you're reviving the economy of that place. So this is laudable. I like that this is happening, and it even make the criminals find somewhere else to go, maybe out of Nigeria.
Hopefully out of Nigeria. But I think this is a step in the right direction. Firstly, I think we must acknowledge that the security situation that we are facing in Nigeria is peculiar to different states. For some states in northeastern Nigeria, of course, understand that banditry is what they face the most. For some states, perhaps in the eastern parts of Nigeria, perhaps it is militancy that they face the most. So every state has its own peculiar security situation, the challenges that they face, and each must approach it and solve it with different tactics. We can't have one leg fit all for all states. And now we're seeing the governor of Abia State say that these are criminal hideouts that have been located all around the state, and they are going to be made into what's it called? Markets
and motor
parks. And I think this services or these infrastructures that could, of course, also improve the economic situation in the state, but also looking at the larger context of the security issue in Nigeria. We've said many times, countless times without number, that the issue of assessing and tackling security issues in Nigeria goes beyond the gun, the barrel of the gun, and shooting people and going to displace people in their communities. It's quite important that we must look holistically at how we must solve security challenges, which include what this government is doing in Abia State. But coming to the national level as well, let's look at places like Sambisa Forest. We've talked about that for many years. This is not even the criminal hideout. This is a hideout for terrorists in Nigeria. And the impact of terrorism in Nigeria has been landmark. The effect of it on our economy, the effect of it on the people, on the safety of Nigerians, it's beyond repression in Nigeria. So I think it's quite important that federal government should look into that as to say that, okay, this is an area where we know that these people are hiding. What can we do to it? There are a lot of people that propose that, okay, can we even go to Sambisa Forest and actually burn down the whole place? Or can we turn it into a ranch? Or can we turn it into something else? I think those are interventions that I think the government should be looking to put in place.
I totally agree. I mean, I know what happens in the south where they are Motikun. The Joint Task Force in other states. We've seen one in Kano. And we just hope that, yes, these are the kind of things we want to see. Because when these idle places or when these places become something else, because when these things become something else or when these things are not properly managed, then you're creating a room for distraction, you're creating a room for mismanagement, you're creating a room for more security challenges. And we don't want people to feel unsafe in Abia. So it's kudos to the Abia State government, and I just hope that it is not just happening now. I mean, the sustainability, the market should not just be built, the motor park should not be built. Even in the motor parks, even in the markets, people need to know that they are even safe there. It's important.
Exactly, and from that we move on to the nation's newspaper. Umahi says Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway will be ready in 7 years. The federal government will recoup its investments on the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway project through 15 years of tolling, Works Minister Dave Umahi said yesterday. He also said the 4 billion naira per kilometer road will be ready in 8 years, adding that motorists will pay 3,000 naira per toll gate. He said, contrary to the misleading 8 billion naira per kilometer given by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, the standard gauge design of the road adopted by the federal government would cost about 4.59 billion naira per kilometer. I think this
the way we
talk about billions in this country, but let's try to understand the context of this project itself. It's to construct a coastal highway right from Lagos to Calabar to ensure that we ease congested traffic inroads that leads from one state to another. So it passes through the coastal area, and it's always going to be smooth. Number one, it's going to boost our economy, it's going to boost investments in the country, and it's general output of the country itself, because infrastructure is one of the main responsibility of government, because it says a lot about how much we're prioritizing our growth and our development as a country. And this is a project that we're told is going to be completed in the next 7 years or 8 years. So perhaps they're looking forward to the administration. Perhaps they will get another term in office to be able to make sure that they finalize the project. But that's another conversation. The essence of government is continuum. So even if another government come into place, continuity would make sure that the project is finished. But that's on one side. On the other side, we've had the war of words between former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the presidency right now. And Atiku has had a lot to say about the project, talking about how it was the vision of from his own principal while he was the vice president. And Umahi has come out to tell us through one of his media engagement that this is actually a vision of President Tinubu while he was the governor of Lagos. But whoever's vision it is, Nigeria wants to make sure that this is achieved within this certain period of time. Another conversation that we should have about this is the cost of the project, because we're looking at 4 billion naira per kilometer, 4.59 billion naira per kilometer, and people are wondering why this amount of money per kilometer. Would you explain to us why we want to spend this much? Because if we put the the whole money that will be used to build this project altogether, it's running into trillions of naira. So how exactly do we want to make sure that we achieve this within this stipulated time? What's the economic sustainability? How viable it is that we're going to achieve this project? Another conversation is who has been contracted to carry out this project. A lot of people are having conversation about that there was no opportunity for bidding to take place. It was just given to the name is skipping my mind right now.
High-tech.
Yeah, high-tech to construct the road. And people and David Umahi has come out to also say that there's some contracts that you give out by just looking at the track record of what this construction company has done, that it's there in the constitution that government can reach out to any construction company based on the work that they've done, based on their track record, and say this is what we want to achieve and we think this is how you can achieve this. So there are a lot of sides to this. Also another side, Chinatu, to this is about the toll gates. People have to pay 3,000 naira per toll gate. So people are asking, how many toll gates are we going to have? Are we going to have one in Calabar and have one in Lagos? Or are we going to have in between and people will have to pay at, what's it called? A different stop all around Nigeria. Is that feasible? Is the rate high for Nigerians to be looking at the current economic situation in the country? So there are a lot of different sides to it, but we cannot disagree that this is for the betterment of the country.
Exactly, especially when you look at the antecedent of the Minister of Works now, David Umahi. You look at what he did in Ebonyi State and realize that, yes, he has good track records. And I think that's what lots of people are hinging on to say, oh, if this person did this, then he can deliver on this. But then the big question is, how feasible is it? Within this stipulated time, will it be achieved, or will we have a case of this government came and then started something, and another government comes and they want to start a different thing? So these are things that we need to iron out, because we don't want a situation where this government says they are doing this, another government says they are doing the next thing. We want to ensure that there's continuity, and if somebody is awarded a contract or a project, the person follows it through. Because I think the point where Atiku raised a very silent point, I mean, we wanted to see competitive bidding.
Exactly.
So the highest bidder or the best hand takes it. But then the former governor of Ebonyi State, now minister, is also saying that, you know, you can know somebody is good with something and then you just award the person this because you know the person can deliver. So these are very important things that they've raised. But in all, we just want to see that the economy is boosted. We want to see that the transportation system in Nigeria is even better, and we want to see investment coming into Nigeria.
Exactly. And two things to also mention about this, because the original inception of the idea was to not only have this coastal highway, is to also make sure that there is a rail track that will also transport, of course, goods and services right from Calabar to Lagos, and also connection in between for different states. And the former vice president is asking, why is this not included in this current project that's been approved by the federal government right now? And secondly, so I think that's a question for them to answer, David Umahi to answer for the Ministry of Works. Another conversation that we must have, you talked about the viability or the sustainability or how the time frame to achieve this. If you look at the second Niger bridge, how long it took to achieve it. If you look at Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, how long it took to achieve that from one administration to another and from another to another. So we talked about continuity. If another government should come in and that project is not prioritized, we need to begin to have the interest of the country at heart. Once a project that we think it's going to change the economic outlook of the country has been implemented or has been started by one administration, it must be followed through. And kudos to the former president of Nigeria, Buhari, because he really did well for the second Niger bridge and make sure that it was completed commissioned during his own administration. So there's a lot to say here. We just hope that Nigerians will get a dividend for their money being invested in this. At
least a dividend for democracy. The democracy we so preach.
Exactly. Chinatu.
Okay, so the next, So the next headline here we have is from the Tribune. UK returns 32 royal artifacts to Ghana after 150 years. The United Kingdom has returned no fewer than 32 royal artifacts looted from Ghana's Ashanti Kingdom after they were taken over 150 years ago. The artifacts, which are primarily composed of gold and silver items, were taken from the court of the Ashanti King during the 19th century conflict between the powerful people of Ashanti and the British. According to a report, the items have been sent to Ghana by the Victoria and Albert Museum and the British Museum on a long-term loan of initially 3 years with the option to renew the loan for another 3 years. The artifacts, which are expected to be officially returned to the current King Otumfuo Osei Tututu on Friday, will be displayed next month at the Mahia Palace Museum in Kumasi as part of the celebration to commemorate the Silver Jubilee of the King. You know, culture is one thing that we shouldn't take away from people. Their artifacts, their archive is very important. But when we see cases where things that we treasure or things that a country treasures, someone looted, what happens? When we see this kind of things, what happens? Well, the good thing is these things are now returned. I mean, over 150, that's such a long time. That's such a long time of starving people of history, of starving people of knowledge, because I can imagine children who were born and children who are told. So, I mean, I remember how we are told stories and we are taken to museums to see these things for ourselves. But I know that a lot of children in Ghana who probably wanted to see some of these artifacts didn't have the chance to, except by word of mouth. But seeing that it's now returned, even though it's on a condition of a loan, it's now returned. It means that history is back, culture is back, and culture is being preserved for Ghana. We want to see this kind of things happen. Nobody's artifact should be looted. I mean,
exactly, and I think this because this is quite. I'm sure this is quite emotional for the people of Ghana to see that after 150 years,
that's a long
over a century and a half, their rightful possession is being returned to them, although there's a condition to it. It's going to be what's it called, loaned to the museum in Ghana for Ghana, 3 years, a period of 3 years. But let's even begin with the conversation of how this was taken away from Ghana in the first place. We talk about the history of colonialism in Africa and what it has done to the people. Artifacts such as this are kind of, they are not only arts. In the Western world, it's regarded as arts. It's regarded as things that you place behind a fine glass and you have people pay money to come and watch them. But it has some spiritual connotation for the people that own them. It has some religious connotation for people that own these artifacts, so-called artifacts, or things of cultural, things of culture, I should put it. And having that taken away from them illegally, because most of the arts that are taken away from Africa were not bought. The argument all around the world, perhaps this was bought, perhaps some of them were stolen. We can't really give accurate assessments to it of whether or not something was stolen or how you bought it, or even if it was legitimately bought from the people that owned it, because we've had issues of people artifacts also called stolen, and then they are sold out to museums or to journalists or to people that came to Africa at that time and take it away. But now we are having it returned back to I was going to say Nigeria, having it returned to Ghana, and looking at the condition with which it's going to be returned, I think it's very sad that something that it's yours had to be loaned back to you for a condition of 3 years, even though you can still extend that. But I think it says something about how, well, I would consider it unremorseful and unrepentant of the British to still hold on to it, because the ownership of this still rests on the British or whatever the European that owns it, and Africans are loaning it to their own country to see what they truly own. So if you look at the history of colonialism, look at the history of what's it called, looting of African resources, because this is ours, and look at how it is, the trajectory of it over the years, how it has moved away, how it is coming back, and the conversation still around it is still very precarious, because I'm wondering how people must feel in Ghana to understand that this is coming back to us. We still do not retain the ownership of what is ours, which is still going to be loaned to us and can be taken from us at any time. I think the British has to do more than just because I consider this just
it's sad,
a saving
really.
face.
Yeah, and you know, it just also tells us where we are as in Africa. It tells us where this continent is when you're talking global, when we are talking on a global scale. So it means we still have to fight. It means we still have to struggle for even things that are ours. And how does that even make sense in this century, in this 21st century? It doesn't count. But then I'm hoping that the government of Ghana has a way around it. Maybe come to terms of find a way to get their things. But I'm wondering how feasible that will happen.
Exactly. The feasibility is left to the people of Ghana to make sure that the demand for what is theirs and make sure that that retribution is made for them. That is where we're going to draw up the curtain for the conversation today. It's been an engaging conversation so far.
Thank you, Wale.
And thank you to our listeners for being a part of the show. You can watch us on all our social media platforms, our YouTube and all our official websites where you can catch up with this. You can live stream and watch a repeat broadcast all across our social media platforms showing on your screen right now. My name is Adewale Olashopo and I've been hanging out with Chinatu Oji. I want to come your way tomorrow, or I should say on Monday. Well, a lot of people will enjoy the weekend, I should suppose. Until we come your way on Monday, please do remember that Nigeria is ours and it's our responsibility to make sure that we do the right thing to move the country forward. Please follow us on all our social media platforms to stay up to date with the conversation. Bye for now.